You know what they say, playing doubles instead of singles will give you a double chance of winning, right? Right?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Greetings everyone, Spartan here. Welcome to the YCL VGC draft analysis for the Victorville Victini. I am the coach, of course, of the Victorville Victini. And welcome, one and all. So, I applied, I joined, I'm grateful to be here. I really am. And I'm really looking forward to playing some VGC draft league, so I'm looking forward to it. Last time I played was played a VGC Draft League was LDL Mega Division, and also LDL's off season beforehand, and both times were pretty fun. But this time is a little bit different because things are a tad bit different in terms of what I am able to draft and the structure of the team or teams will be. So let's discuss about that. So this is a 12-man draft. It was a snake draft, of course, as usual. We were allowed to draft 10 non-restricted mons, including one restricted mon, depending on where they are in the tier. The lower the restricted, the more points you're able to use for your free agency. I was actually first in the draft, which is something I don't think I've ever done. I don't think in all my years of playing Draft League, I have never been in first place. I mean, not first place, you know what I mean. First in draft. So it was a bit interesting start off. So I did not know what to draft initially. Oh yeah, by the way, it is Series 10 rules, so the reason why we're only allowed to have one restricted mon and no Dynamax. So a lot of tech needs to be pulled through. So regarding about my team, I didn't know exactly what to draft, but I knew what I wanted to draft. And there's one restricted mon I really want to use. Sure, it's not as good as its better version that was initially allowed in Generation 7, but I think it still can pull off something, and that mon is none other than Groudon. Groudon has really good attack stat, base 150, a decent speed of base 90. It's really bulky, and also provides drought. Sun is pretty good. I would say that rain might be better, but if you play your cards right, any weather can be good. Even sand. I think sand and hail are honestly underrated, but I wanted to use sun because I really want to try something out with Groudon and the team structure. Regarding about what Groudon provides pretty much offensive capabilities and maybe a little bit of defensive capabilities. But ideally, you got Precipice Blades, its best attack. It does not have the greatest accuracy, but when it lands, it does tremendous damage. And it doesn't affect your ally Pokemon like Earthquake does, so it's a really good move. It does have other good coverage. You got Heat Crash, which is awesome. You got Rock Slide or Rock Tomb. You also have some good type coverage. There's a Heavy Slam. And you can even use its special attacking stat as well. And base 100 isn't too bad, but it is usable. So it's still something that is worth using. In terms of items, there's a lot of items you can be able to use with Groudon. So hopefully I can able to experiment throughout this season. So look forward to that. Next mon, I went ahead and dropped since it's back-to-back. First up, I went ahead and picked up Zapdos. And you're probably wondering, why did I pick up Zapdos? The reason why is because I think that Zapdos is really good in weather. Like, I think that pairing Zapdos up with Groudon or even Kyogre or any of the weather setters, I think is really good because of the access of Weather Ball. I think Weather Ball is an underrated move that doesn't get used too often. I can understand why, because weather can change, and sometimes it could be beneficial, sometimes it can't. And I really wanted to use Zapdos with Groudon's Drought ability to have not only just Weather Ball, you also get Heat Wave, and able to touch and beat most of the water types that Groudon has a hard time facing against. But pretty much a very strong electric and flying type. I think this mon's fantastic. Very good base power, 125 in special attack, and able to hit really hard with its dual stab and also various coverage. Not too much coverage, but that's the beauty of Zapdos. It has enough coverage to touch just about most Pokemon. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole gist of Zapdos and why I wanted to draft it. And since I was first, I was able to get 2 Pokemon at once. So the next Pokemon I paired up with Zapdos is Entei. I think Entei is awesome paired up with Groudon. There's another fire type I wanted to use, but I think Entei is just fine. But we'll see. If it doesn't fully work, I can able to switch out Entei for that other fire type I was thinking about using. Regarding about Entei, Entei is very strong. Base 115 attack is pretty good, but Sacred Fire and also Flare Blitz are very spammable for Entei, especially if you have it paired up with Groudon in the Sun. It does have a really good ability, which is Inner Focus. Not only that I am immune to flinches with Entei, but I am also immune to Intimidate, which is fantastic for a mon that is very beneficial in the physical attacking stat. Sure, it does share the base 100 stat in speed with Zapdos, but I think I can able to alleviate around that. Other than that, I can now also, like I said, there's another fire type on the tier 2 tier list that I probably might switch out Entei with, but we'll see how things go with Entei. I think Entei is awesome. In terms of coverage, you got Stone Edge, you also got Extreme Speed for that +2 in priority. Crunch, it's overall a really good mon. I think this is a really good physically offensive, and even especially base 90 special attack isn't too bad, but its base bulk isn't half bad, with base 115 in HP. Base 85 and base 75 are both workable base stats for physical and special defense stats respectively, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to making this Entei work with the Groudon team. Next up on the team, I wanted to get myself an Intimidator and also a Fake Out user. Of course, Incineroar was already gone. There were other ones. There are other Fake Out Intimidators as well. And one I really wanted to pick up is Hitmontop. I think Hitmontop is awesome. It's relatively bulky. Not as bulky as Incineroar per se. It does have that base 50 HP, which isn't great. But it alleviates it from its base 110 special defense and base 95 defense respectively. And having Intimidate is awesome for Hitmontop. Also gets Fake Out. It also gets Wide Guard, which is kind of pretty beneficial for what I'll probably be facing against throughout this season. It does have decent coverage. Priority pretty good, and a lot of priority. Also gets coaching. I could probably pull off some coaching stuff if I can. But the problem is that I don't think it gets coaching gets priority. So I might have to fix things up to make it work for like Groudon or Entei or any of my other mons that I have. But other than that, it's really good. I think it might put in a good amount of work. and hopefully I could able to pull something off with him on top that isn't just being defensive, you know. The next up is an actual transaction. So during the whole draft, I initially picked up Orguru for Trick Room purposes, but then for some reason someone picked up Cherim on a team that literally did not need Cherim. I don't know why they picked it up, and I honestly think they did it just so they can able to get Orguru for me. So screw it. I don't think it's the end of the world. If it is, I mean, if it screws me over, it screws me over. It is what it is. So I went ahead and picked up Cherim because I honestly think Cherim is like a match make in heaven with Groudon. Groudon with Cherim is awesome because of its ability, Flower Gift, which allows it to transform into a different state where not only that you get a +1 in attack, but also a +1 in special defense, as long as Sun is up, and as long as Cherim is on the field. Which I think could be very beneficial. It does get some decent moves, not the greatest move pool, but it does have enough to be beneficial in terms of what you can do with it. I think it's not bad. Heck, it even gets Pollen Puff, so I can be able to heal up my allies if I wanted to. So it's not bad. It definitely is strong. But we'll see how things go from here with Cherim instead of Oranguru. Do I regret the trade? I have no idea. Like I said, if it screws me over in the long run, it screws me over in the long run. Next up, I went ahead and picked up a Follow Me user. Now, initially, there were only a very few Follow Me users remaining. A lot of them were tier 1s, and the one that was in, I believe, tier 4 or tier 5 could have been good, but it's just, it has very low base stats, and I didn't really feel comfortable with using it. So instead, I picked up the tier 2. Yes, you heard me right. Tier 2 Clefable. The only difference that I see between Clefable and Clefairy is that pretty much the abilities. Mainly the hidden ability of Friend Guard not being there with Clefable. Instead, it has Unaware. Now, I think Unaware could be very clutch in some cases, but I do think that Friend Guard is very much more valuable. If things go south with the team, I may change it up so I can at least either afford Clefairy or even go for one other Mon that does have Friend Guard, that does have Follow Me, but it doesn't have the greatest stats, I'm gonna be honest. But regardless, Clefable is still Clefable. It'll do what Clefable does, what Clefairy doesn't, which is the natural bulk, pretty much. Regardless, it does have some very good, nice moves. It has a fantastic move pool too, so I can able to use some various tactics with Clefable that doesn't rely on using like Ally Switch or Follow Me all the time. And I've used Clefairy before, so it's not my first rodeo running one of the Clefairy families in VGC. So I'm looking forward to using Clefable. We'll see how things go. If it doesn't work out, I can able to change up the team, no problem. Next up, I went ahead and changed my tier 5 Pokemon. I initially drafted, probably wondering why, Frostmoth, because I wanted a Tailwind user that isn't super effective against ice. I mean, not ice, Freeze Dry. And isn't weak against ice as well. Ice and Freeze Dry. And the only two mons that were left that would work with the ice type, not so much with Freeze Dry, but at least ice type. That was my bottom line, was ice type, and that was Suicune. That was already taken. So I initially picked up Frostmoth for that Tailwind. However, in order to make sure I fixed the team so that the trade worked out with Oranguru and Jerem, I dropped it. And I went ahead and picked up Audino. I think Audino is not bad. I don't think it's great, but it's not bad at what it could do as a support Pokemon. And it's a normal type, so there's that. It's very bulky. It does have some nice little tools it could use. It'd be very beneficial. I can see some very interesting tactics to use with Audino. It even gets Trick Room, so I can be able to use this as a Trick Room user as well. But that's pretty much it regarding about Audino. Unfortunately, it does not get knockoff because this isn't from like Generation 7 where you can be able to use those moves. And transferring into Generation 8 won't work because it has to be naturally bred or caught for it to use knockoff. In order to, in quote, use knockoff in some sort of way in Generation 8 VGC, but that's not the case. But yeah, like I said, it has a really vast amount of moves it could use. But like I said, we'll see how this goes. Next up, I went ahead and picked up another grass type that I think is really beneficial with Groudon, and I think that is Maractus. Now, there was Lilligant. I was thinking about drafting Lilligant over Maractus, but I think Maractus fills up two different roles: Chlorophyll and a water immune mon. It does get Storm Drain, and I kind of like that preferred over Water Absorb in most cases. And it also has Chlorophyll, so I can able to use like Active U tactics with Maractus. It does have some good offensive stats that I could use with it. It's strong. Base 106 special attack. It's pretty good, but all the other remaining stats, including its base speed, is pretty below average, I would say. Like base 75 HP, 67 defense and special defense, base 60 speed. It might not be able to pull off like the best tactics, but what it has to provide support for Groudon and the team is pretty worth it. Plus, it gets Spiky Shield, so like no imprison tactics, and I can able to get some chip on any physical contacting moves from opposing attacks. So I think that's really good. So next up, I went ahead and get another Tier 2 Mon because I had enough points for it. And this one, in my honest opinion, is underrated. I think it is underrated in the Series 10 of VGC. I think its ability is fantastic for what it can do. And that Mon is none other than Duraludon. I think Duraludon is fantastic in Series 10. If you have not seen my streams, I've been climbing the ladder with a unique Groudon team, and it does have Duraludon on it. And I think Duraludon with its, I would say, semi-positive move pool, I think it can really do some good work. It can be able to hit a lot of the restricted mons relatively well, except for like maybe 2 or 3 of them. But other than that, it's strong. Has very good physical defensive stats, and also really good special attacking stat. It doesn't have the greatest special defense. Like maybe like a powerful Moonblast could pretty much KO Duraludon one hit. So I have to be careful with that. But other than that, it's fantastic. I think this is a fantastic mon. And yes, its ability is awesome because of what it can do. Starwalt pretty much negates, ignores not only Rage Powder, but also Follow Me. There's only one other Pokemon that has that two Pokemon that have that capability. One of them is through another ability, which is Barraskewda, and the other one is Inteleon with its signature move, Snipe Shot. Other than that, Duraludon, I think, is a little bit better than those two. in terms of typing wise, I think this is good for touching pretty much majority of the ladder. I mean, not the ladder. Of the restricted mons that are available. So I'm looking forward to using Duraludon. Next up, as I mentioned before, I needed a dark type. I didn't mention before, I needed a Trick Room user. I like the psychic type that Oranguru had, but at the same time I also needed a dark type. I did drop the dark type, and that was Shiftry. And I did drop another psychic type, and that was a Slowbro. However, I traded those off because one, I don't feel like I needed a I didn't feel like I needed another chlorophyll user. I think one is okay, and two, I dropped my Tailwind user, Frostmoth. So I needed to make a makeup pick in order to obtain that Tailwind back. So I had to drop 2 Pokemon in order to get to compensate that. So instead of getting Slowbro, I ended up picking up Malamar. I think Malamar is in this weird, interesting spot. It does get contrary, so instead of having lower stats decrease from like Intimidate, for example, my stats will increase instead, and vice versa. Regarding about its overall stats, it's okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. And its typing is interesting. Dark and Psychic, really good offensively, not so great defensively, more specifically towards its quad weakness to Bug. And there is a move called U-Turn, and that could be problematic. But regardless about that, it does have a really good move pool despite not having the greatest of stats. Like, its best stat is base 92 attack, and everything else is pretty average, like base 86 HP, base 88 defense, base 75 special defense, and base 73 speed. But it does have some pretty good moves to compensate for what it lacks. Moves such as a Trick Room. You also get its signature move, Topsy Turvy, which actually switches the target's negative stats to positive stats and vice versa, which I think that could be very cool if I could pull it off, if I can. It does have some good powerful attacks, especially superpower that can, with contrary, can boost up its physical attack and defense that it kind of lacks in terms of what it could offensively do. Like, it feels like without it, it's not too great, but at the same time, it can still work with other moves that it actually has. So I'm looking forward to using Malamar. I'll see how things go with it. If it doesn't work out, like I said, I can make changes. It's not the end of the world. And last but not least, I had to pick a Mantine because, one, I still needed that flying type that isn't weak to ice. It is quad weak to freeze dry, but it's not weak to ice. So this is fine. And I tried it out in the ladder. I think this mon has potential. Like, its special defense, base 140 special defense is awesome. Base 85 HP is okay, and it is able to eat up so many hits that you would not expect it would survive. Like, I even did calculations where it could have a small chance of surviving a T-Bolt from Regieleki, a Specs Regieleki with the Walk-On Berry, as long as his max special defense. And I think that's interesting. I never expected a mon like that would survive such a powerful hit from Regieleki. So I think Mantine is just fine. And I do have switch-ins for Mantine's quad weakness to Electric, and those are my grass types. I also have Groudon as well, and I have some pretty good other special defensive checks as well. So it's not the end of the world. In terms of what it does, like I said, it has Tailwind. It also gets Wide Guard as well, so that's actually pretty interesting. So I don't always have to run Wide Guard on Hitmontop all the time. But it also gets some weird moves, like it learns Earthquake. why does it learn Earthquake? And it also learns like Rock Tomb. Like it learns really weird moves I would never expect it to learn. But if it works, it works. And I think this Mon kind of patches up another one of my weaknesses, which is a water type attack with water absorb. It could also run Swift Swing if it wanted to, but most of the time it'll probably just be water absorb. It could also learn water. It could also use Water Veil, but I actually don't see a reason to use Water Veil. I think Water Absorb and Swift Swim are just fine. So yeah, it's not bad. Do note that it, unlike most of the other Tailwind users that are out there, they're pretty fast or have some way of setting it up immediately, like Tornadus or Whimsicott, or like Talonflame, Noivern. You have all those fast mons. A Suicune as well, but Mantine's weird because it has a base 70 speed, so it may not be fast to set up the Tailwind, but a slow Tailwind can also help you gauge off of what you can do in overall battles. So I think Mantine's just fine as it is. There you have it. This is a team that I have drafted. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But I like the mons I picked up. I really am looking forward to having combinations of Groudon plus the grass types. I'm looking forward to trying out Mantine some more, and also Duraludon. I think Audino and Clefable have enough bulk to help out with the support, and the offensive pressures from Groudon, Zapdos, and Entei, along with as well Duraludon, is enough to help out with some tough matchups. So that's pretty much the team. This is gonna be interesting. I'm not here to actually win. I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm not here to win. I'm actually here to learn, to educate myself, to improve my skills in VGC, not only in VGC but in also Draft League, because I feel like I'm getting kind of stale playing singles all the times, every single time, and I wanted to try out something different. And I think VGC Draft League is just right in my alley, because not only I'm playing in Draft League, I'm also playing in a new format, which is VGC, and I think VGC is pretty cool. I actually enjoy it. So look forward to more of VGC. If you're watching this, go ahead and also follow my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Spartan275. I stream a lot of games, and I also stream a lot of Pokemon VGC. So if you want to catch up and see how I'm learning, be my guest, you can always drop by. But that's pretty much it for me here. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Stay safe, be good to each other, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.